From the 1011 Now streaming studio, this is The Night Beat.
Hello and welcome to the 1011 Now streaming studio. I am Madison Pitch. It is Thursday, February 22nd, and topping our stories again today is that double murder in Bloomfield. New court documents are showing what investigators say happened before 77-year-old Curtis Strom and 49-year-old William Reffitt were shot to death in a bowling alley in Knox County. 25-year-old Elias Reed is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, among other charges. And according to his arrest affidavit, Reed went to the bowling alley that morning with the intention to kill Strom and Reffitt. The affidavit alleges Reed went to the building with a shotgun in a cardboard box, and when he got there, he told Reffitt he was going to rob him, and prosecutors say they walked to the back of the business. That's when they allege Reed shot both Reffitt and Strom in the head, took money from one of their wallets and the business's register, and left. Nobody was there to witness the crime. Reed's wife, 27-year-old Kaylin Sweezy, who we have previously reported was his girlfriend, is facing a single count of tampering with evidence. Prosecutors say she tossed the gun Reed used to shoot the men. If convicted, Reed could get the death penalty. Sweezy would face 1 to 50 years in prison. And it's a change of pace from Lincoln Public Schools. After some buzz, the district is suspending sending lunch debts to collections. Critics say the practice, which has gone on for the last 15 to 20 years, hurts working class families. Here are the numbers. In the last 5 years, they've sent more than $500,000 in debt to collections. There's still about $236,000 that haven't been recovered yet. Last week, the Flatwater Free Press had an expansive report diving into how the policy affected families, but LPS says the discussion around changing the policy was in the works beforehand. These are your bullet point takeaways. Right now, there's a bill in the legislature to do away with the policy across the state, and LPS isn't sure what it will do moving forward in regard to lunch debt. Obviously, this is a story we will keep our eye on. And this next story is a bit of a passion project for our senior reporter, John Grinvald, who's joining us now. John, thanks for joining the Night Beat.
Thank you for having me. This is my first time on the Night Beat, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, he told me he's a little nervous. John, the story we're about to talk about has been on your radar for quite a time and is a little bit different than the harder news that you usually cover. Tell me about your reporting on the legislature's sergeants at arm.
Yeah, so I have spent a lot of time at the Capitol this year covering the legislature, covering all sorts of bills, the hard news there. And in my time there, I keep running into these very affable folks wearing this distinguished red suit, these crimson suit jackets, and they're kind of at the doorways or when you're walking in.
They're everywhere.
They're greeting you. They are making sure you can't go into a room if you don't have a certain press credential on. They're these liaisons between the legislature and the public and the press. And so I wanted to kind of figure out what they do and why they do it. So I today spent the day kind of shadowing them, following them around, seeing what they do, and it turns out it's a lot. They kind of keep the legislature running smoothly.
Yeah. Again, this story is coming up tonight at 10. I'm curious, John, what kind of piqued your interest in doing this story? You said you spend a lot of time at the legislature. What started you off on this path?
They're kind of the unsung heroes of the legislature. There's not a lot of coverage of them. We get all sorts of stories about the 49 state senators who've got all sorts of bills that they're working on. But these folks who are there every day, who are there at 8 in the morning until sometimes almost midnight when these committee hearings run really long, wanted to figure out what their story was because they're not talked about a lot.
Yeah. And I'm curious, what is something that really surprised you when you were reporting this story? And what's something that people should look forward to when they watch it tonight at 10?
How active they are. I mean, these are all retirees. And this is a part-time gig. This is something you'd expect. Maybe they'd be sitting down a lot, kind of just going through the motions. They're not. I mic'd up one of them at one point, had a wireless mic on him, and just kind of following him around with the camera for about 10, 15 minutes, constantly on his feet, constantly talking, constantly planning logistics. They're figuring out how to get 100 fourth graders into the balcony and how to facilitate that with Nebraska State Patrol. So they do a lot of different things that we don't see, and I think that's just how active and present they are throughout the day is what surprised me.
Yeah. All right, John. Again, that story is coming up tonight at 10. You're going to want to catch it. That's it for us today on the Night Beat. We've got more news, weather, and sports tonight at 10 and all night long on 1011now.com. But before we go, a look at your 7-day forecast.
You've been listening to The Night Beat. Watch, listen, and stream on the 1011 app on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.